Hi everyone, thanks for joining. We're just going to give it a couple of moments for everyone to join. We've got a good crowd today. If you're watching this live, welcome, but if you're watching it back, thanks for taking the time to do so. We'll just give it a minute or so for everyone to join, as I said. Whilst we are waiting, just a quick mention that please do drop questions into the chat as we go through the session. I mean, hopefully we'll be answering some of it as we move through the content, but we really do encourage questions. So we have got some dedicated time at the end of the session to address those. Any that we can't address in the session live, we'll just take those offline and we'll come back to you individually. So we'll just give it 30 seconds or so for everyone to get in. Welcome, everyone. Great. Okay, I think we'll get started. I will just quickly introduce myself before we move through. So my name is Jessica. I'm part of the marketing team at the Access Group, and I work specifically in the Prospect CRM team. And then on the call, we've also got Josh Lunn. So hi, Josh, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name's Josh. I am also part of the working on the Unleashed inventory management tools. And we've also got Stuart on the line. Say hi, Stuart.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm from Access as well, on the CRM side. So I'll be talking about the CRM today. So you've got three of us. Aren't you lucky or not? So we'll probably turn our cameras off for the main part of the presentation, but we'll put them on again for the Q&A, only because sometimes on the recording, the camera view can block out some of the buttons we're pressing that can be a bit confusing, but we'll switch our cameras back on towards the end. So let's get started. Today, we're going to be looking at a suite of solutions that we like to present it as, really. And given that we're part of the same company, particularly, looking at Unleashed, that Josh is going to go through in a little while, which will help you run your business from the inventory management and operations side. And then I'm in a second going to go through Prospect CRM, that with its integration to Unleashed can use all that valuable information from Unleashed and hopefully help you grow your business. And that's what I'm going to show you. And then as a complete suite, you can look at from Access financials, which Unleashed integrates to, and the Prospect system does as well for some information. Or indeed, with Unleashed, you can use QuickBooks or Xero as a choice of a back office accounting system. And again, Prospect will integrate with both of those through Unleashed as well. So I guess we've got a mix of people on this webinar because it was advertised in various places, including in the Access workspace. But whether you're looking at improving your inventory management processes now, or growing your sales, or both of those things, hopefully this will be an interesting webinar for you. And so we don't want to mess about with hundreds and hundreds of slides on PowerPoint. And what I wanted to do was go into a quick integrated demo that kind of will be split between Josh and I, sharing systems. So we're both running the Prospect and the Unleashed systems integrated. And so what I wanted to show you was, this is the dashboard, main dashboard for a Prospect CRM system. And as you can see, it's connected, and I've got a dashboard open for Unleashed, and we'll have a look at that in a second. But some of the tools that we offer you to help you grow your business are here right on the dashboard, actually. So RFM analysis may be something that you've heard about before, but it's a mechanism for benchmarking your customers against each other. I should mention that this demo system, we're both in a fictitious company called That's My Jam, that sells jam and jam making equipment to restaurants and shops and cafes and so on and so forth. So there's a good amount of data in here, but it's not actually real data. So some of it can be a little bit odd sometimes. So you'll have to forgive us for that if we come across any odd data that someone's put in here in a demo. But yeah, the RFM analysis, it stands for recency, frequency, and monetary value. And it's a mechanism for benchmarking your customers and getting an idea of people that, you know, are currently hibernating, not spending with me, need attention, about to sleep, don't lose them, at risk, loyal customers, my champion customers, which are my best customers, that are bought most recently, buy frequently, and spend the most. And so you can see these people all bought pretty recently, and they spend quite a lot. They've placed a lot of orders with us. And so what I was going to do was jump into a specific customer, good old Mary Berry, and she buys jam and jam making equipment from us. And so when you connect a Prospect CRM system to Unleashed, we bring in all the customers, we bring in all the inventory items, all of the pricing, all the currencies, all the warehouses, and all the information that you need to be able to successfully manage your customers through a CRM system. You can also do quotes and orders from here and push them back into Unleashed, which is what we're going to do in a second. But I just wanted to show you some of the information that we've got. So we bring in any contacts that exist in Unleashed. These are all CRM things that we'll perhaps talk about another time. But you can expect that, as from any CRM system, you can manage your marketing, your opportunity management, and so on through the CRM system. We're connected to the Unleashed record. In fact, I could open Mary Berry's account in my Unleashed directly from the CRM if I want to. And so that's kind of how closely integrated the systems are. I can look at my age receivables from my back office financial system, Xero, QuickBooks, or Access Financials. But we also bring in a full transaction history of everything that Mary has bought from us. And so this is a line item transaction history of anything she's ever bought, how many she bought, whether we've ordered, delivered, or invoiced them yet, what she paid, how much profit we made, and what the sales order and invoice number are in Unleashed, and when it happened. And of course, I can then go and open that record in Unleashed again if I wanted to. So I've got a full history here of what's going on. And obviously, you could see this in Unleashed as well through the sales orders and so on. But we do some slightly different analysis on it. So I'm looking as a customer, and I can zoom in on a particular section if I want. What sort of orders is she placing with me? And a full list of orders if I wanted to. Again, the orders you could see certainly from Unleashed. But is she a growing or declining customer? And what does she buy from me? What's the top thing? Well, 92% of her spend is on Blissful Blueberry Jam. So that's very useful to know. And then if I just quickly jump across and have a look at that spend and what she's buying from me, it's worth knowing that each of these items is brought in as a product. And so we hold a copy of the product. I can't edit this. The master record is in Unleashed, but we bring in the pictures, all the information, the stock quantities, the buildable quantity if it's an assembly, what's included in the assembly, all the price tiers, and I know which customer's on which price tier. And we also look at the purchases, who the supplier is, what purchase orders have come in, and when it was due to be delivered and when it's actually been delivered. So these actually were delivered 3 days ago and they weren't due until a month's time, so that was nice. And then a bit of analysis on the product of who is my top customer for this product and what's the season and what's the seasonality buying pattern for it down the bottom here. So a lot of information for the front office, and then we do some comparisons so that I can build lists of customers that have bought X but not Y, and so on and so forth. And we also look at the Harvard Business School magic matrix of trying to get as many customers to buy as many products as possible. So let me go through and do a bit of action here. So let's do a quote for Mary Berry. So I'm going to add, in fact, let's do it against Mary herself. You can do it either against a company, but I generally recommend you do it against a person in the CRM so that if I need to go back to someone, I can tell who it is. So let's create a new quote to Mary Berry. I could put a sales order straight through. And let's say that this is a new stock order. It knows which currency and which price list and all the rest of it automatically from Unleashed that we're going to generate this quote or order against. And then I get straight into a search to add items to the quote. And it'll show me things that she's bought before. We know she buys the Blissful Blueberry Jam. And so let's put some of those on. She definitely likes buying these, so I'm going to put 25 of those on. Just worth mentioning here, if Mary had emailed me an order, I can drag and drop that and put it into here from a CSV or an Excel. And providing she's got my SKU and a quantity, it'll just build the quote or the order for me from that package. We're then going to put on an automatic jam and jelly maker. And there's a little feature here that'll pop up that's worth knowing about as an upsell. So when I sell an automatic jam and jelly maker, in the CRM, we've said, as a salesperson, you should offer for her to buy some of our jam jar lids that go with that jam and jelly maker and some labels as well. And so here I could say, yeah, that she's going to have 500 of the jar lids and 500 labels as well to go with that machine. So let's add that. And we've got all 3 items. Now, on a quote in the CRM, you can split things up for presentation purposes on the document into groups if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now, but it can be useful if I'm quoting for an option A, option B, and option C, or if I wanted to group together all the machinery and then all of the consumables. And when you're grouping, you can choose whether you hide the individual prices and just show a subtotal for the group so that people don't start picking your quote apart for tiny bits and bobs, or whether I show the individual line items and a subtotal. So if I wanted to send that to Michelle, I can click on her email address and you can set up as many templates as you like. I've got a simple PDF quote here that will attach. And you'll notice, let me just download that. You generate your documents for the CRM system in Microsoft Word. So there's ultimate flexibility on what your documents are going to look like. And we do these approve and decline buttons as well. Sorry, I don't think I did download that. And so when Michelle receives this, if she's fine to go ahead and the quote is exactly as she expected, she can just approve either on the email or if I show you the document itself just quickly. So let's download that and open it up. So this is what she'll receive, which is a quote formatted in the way I wanted it to be formatted with a table, and you can choose any of the tables in Word. So total flexibility. But the nice thing is that she gets this approve and decline button. And so if Michelle wants to go ahead with this, if she hits approve when she receives this, it'll take her to a branded portal where you can put your logo and your corporate colors. And if she puts in her order number and clicks approve, that process then has saved me having to chase Michelle up. And if I just go back to the system, let's just cancel that for now. And if we refresh this, what's actually happened in the background by Michelle approving that order is it's taken my quote and it's written it through. We had it set up to be written through as a parked order into Unleashed, where it can now be processed by Josh onto, build the items or whatever he needs to do. It also does go into Mary Berry's transaction history. So if we go back to her transactions and refresh this, it'll show me that most recent order actually is for some Blissful Blueberry Jam and so on and so forth. And this will respect any changes in Unleashed. So if Josh decided we haven't got 500, we'll send her 400, that will get respected. This is keeping up in sync with Unleashed the whole time. So I get a real picture of exactly what's happened once we go ahead. So let me hand over to Josh now to pick up that order from Mary Berry and take us through the processes in Unleashed. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. And as you can see, the order is here already. So, I've been at Unleashed now for best part of 6 years. And one of my first meetings was Stuart coming down to the Unleashed office in Bristol and demoing me that integration. And I'm still blown away by the fact that that just straight away is in the system. So we've got the order in Unleashed now. It's a placed order. I've got a delivery address, I've got a required date, I've got all of the products and the pricing, basically everything that you would expect to need to actually start managing inventory around that order. I'm not going to go into too much detail on actually managing the order itself, because I think that really when we talk about inventory management at Unleashed, a large part of that is on the supply chain side. How do I know what I need to order when? How do I know what to replenish, perhaps through production even, or through warehouse transfers? And how do I make sure that I'm driving like the most accurate cost for these goods, so that that margin reporting you see in Prospectsoft is 100% accurate? So from here, from this screen, I can actually see a few important things. If I look down at, for example, the blueberry jam, I can hover over this product code and it will tell me that I've got 14,000 on hand. I've got 11,000 allocated. And so 25 of that 11,000 is on this order, but there's actually going to be a lot more allocation around the business. And then this available quantity, for those of you that are better at maths than me, can tell that is literally just my stock on hand minus the allocation. If I want to know more about that allocation, I can click through, and that will take me to a product allocations report for this particular product. You can see here that there are various different customer references that we've grouped the allocations into, but if I take that grouping off, a whole host of transactions going on kind of in the background that are falling into various people's queues. So all of that is driving an available quantity. And one of the questions that we get asked quite a lot is, how do I know when I need to actually do something about availability in the business? You might be a business that is always trying to hold a certain amount of stock. You might be a business that does drop shipping. Maybe you do an awful lot of back ordering. Perhaps you want to ship half of an order that you don't have stock for and then ship the rest later. You know, it could be a combination of all of the above. And that's kind of the beauty of the modern business, is that they're incredibly agile. Unleashed will allow you to do any of that, essentially, because as soon as that available quantity dips below either a minimum or a maximum stock level, you'll be alerted to it on our dashboard. So there's actually quite a lot of things we could talk about on this dashboard. We've got some traceability warnings down here. We've got some late purchase orders, quite a lot of late assemblies actually. But I'm going to zero in, just because we're limited on time today, on this low stock alerts section. And if I click through onto that, it's going to take me to a reorder report. And at the risk of sounding a little bit geeky, this is probably my favorite report in Unleashed. There's a few reasons for that. First one is it just gives me a complete total overview of everything that I need to reorder, restock through production, move between locations. The other reason is it actually allows me to do those things from this screen. It's a bit of a busy screen at the moment, so I'll just filter down to the Bristol warehouse, because that's where I'm sat right now, in Bristol. And it's actually only a couple of products running low, and we do actually have some on purchase quite soon with the next delivery date. If I'm interested in not just what's fallen below my minimum level, in other words, the absolute bare minimum I can do without, I want to look at what's under my maximum level, in other words, the ideal, then actually there's a few more things that we could do here. Now, I don't know how easy this is for people to see on the screen, so I'll just zoom in very quickly, but you can see here that some of these items are assembled. So if I wanted to assemble to stock, I could do that from here. Again, some of you on the call are going to be better at maths than me. In fact, probably the majority of you. So you already know where the suggested replenishment quantities are coming from. But suffice to say, it's the available quantity offset against my minimum and my maximum stock levels, and then also accounting for any potential incoming purchase orders. We're also hiding quite a bit of detail on this screen behind hidden columns in terms of outgoing transfers, incoming transfers, what's on assembly, or in other words, in production. But all of those numbers are just being crunched straight away. And most people are going to use a really, really simple layout like this. And as long as everybody's entering transactions in through Prospectsoft and into Unleashed as and when they should be, then these numbers will be reliable to the point where I can just tick these boxes and say, I want to create some assemblies. I'm just going to go ahead and confirm that now. I won't sort of go through much about like job duration or capacity on the production line. Those are probably conversations for another day. But for the purposes of today, you can see I have a recipe sat in the back end here. I've got a bill of materials, which tells me what I need to use to make some blissful blueberry jam. Now, this isn't actually complete. So I'm going to add that now. And this is something that a lot of businesses will do. They'll have a recipe that they stick to, broadly speaking, but they kind of tweak it on a case-by-case basis. Perhaps there's a note on that sales order that we need to kind of cater for, and we're assembling from the sale rather than from the reorder report. But whatever it is, we can tweak some wastage here. I can say that we, smashed some jam jars, quite a lot of them actually, complete disaster. I can track my batch numbers over here for traceability sake. And I can add any additional supplier costs as well. And so for the majority of manufacturers that we speak to, there's always some kind of external cost to production. So this is the perfect place to capture that, right? Let's say that Clive, who's actually my fruit supplier, he's charging me $75 for co-packing. When I add that on, that's actually going to increase my cost of production down here. And all of that is being used to drive a total stock value and obviously drive our margins on the far end of things. I won't go into too much more detail on production today's call, like attaching QC documentation on analyzing costs over time, on multiple levels to bills of materials. Haven't talked about bundling or kitting either, but I'm just going to throw those buzzwords out there so that you all know that I haven't forgotten about them and that they do exist in the system. I want to really talk about purchase ordering because that's one of the things I think the majority of businesses struggle with. How do I know what I need to purchase and when? So again, just to keep things really simple, I can do that from this screen. I could say, well, I want to purchase these two products. They're from two separate suppliers, different quantities for each. Unleash just makes that really easy. I'm going to actually increase that quantity to 10 because one's probably not enough to justify the delivery cost. And I'll hit create purchases. Now I've actually got two suppliers here. So Unleash has broken that out automatically into two different POs. And so I can open that up and I can give it a check over. Maybe it's going to go into an awaiting approval process first before we place it. I'm actually going to add a couple of products on here just because it's not particularly interesting purchase order at the moment. And you can see as I'm doing that, and you'll see this pretty much everywhere in Unleashed, there's an available quantity showing up, just so that you know before you actually make any decisions, oh, by the way, this is what you've got on hand right now. Cool. So now that I've got all of that, if I just hit place, we can actually set up some automation. So that's emailed straight off to the supplier. We print a copy of that PDF as well. And we keep a record of all of the emails back and forth down below also, if you are using the email functionality. On the costs, as we talked about with assemblies, we can also add additional costs for purchasing for just the goods into the business. So let's do that now. If I'm being charged by DPD, say £20 for delivery, and keep an eye on these numbers here because this is the thing that I think gets finance people and purchase people get quite excited. When I add this on, we're going to break that down across each line. And in this case, this example, I'm actually doing that based on the weighted value of each line. You can see that here under cost distribution method. But we can actually add different distribution methods into Unleashed. We can do that based on weights or dimensions or perhaps quantity. It's really dependent on the supplier that you're purchasing from and how they usually charge you, right? But the key thing is that all of this information is being passed across into your financial system, whether that's Access Financials, whether it's Xero, whether it's QuickBooks Online, so that at the end of the year, when you're sat around a huge pot of costs, you're not scratching your head with your accountant and wondering, well, what do we spend all this money on? It's all being calculated as part of your cost of goods sold, individual product level, and flowing through from purchasing into production, and then eventually into the sales order to drive a margin, which you can report on within ProspectSoft, not just within Unleashed. So it's just really trying to paint you a picture of all of the things that happen in the background to drive that data that your sales team, your sales director is seeing in the CRM. So yeah, really, really powerful integration. One last thing I'll touch on just before we move on to look at some of our case studies and so on is the reporting tools and actually forecasting and demand planning, because I think these days I sort of hesitate a little bit when people refer to Unleashed as an inventory management software. I realize I've said that and it says Advanced Inventory Manager at the top of the screen, but I think Unleashed really has come into its own over the last 6 to 9 months as a supply chain management tool. And what I mean by that is that the thing that we really excel at is knowing what to purchase when and keeping that supply chain completely under control. So I'll give you a couple of examples of that here in Advanced Inventory Manager. If we go into the modeling tab here, you'll see that there's quite a few insights that I can drill into. Now, I'm just going to pick one example. Let's say that you're a business that operates a just-in-time model. Okay, so you're always looking to hold a certain amount of stock, just enough to kind of get by and make sure that you're fulfilling orders as they come in. Well, this would probably be not a great position to be in. 45% of my product lines are currently overstocked. So I'm habitually buying more stock than I need to on those lines. So let's drill into that. If I click in there and then maybe filter down to a supplier as well, Clyde's Fruit Farm, maybe filter down to Bristol Warehouse as well. That's now going to give me a table of results. And again, just like with the reorder report earlier, I can actually do something with this data. So Unleashed is always tracking your lead time. So from the moment that you place a purchase order to the moment that you receive it, the clock is ticking and Unleashed is tracking how long it takes to receive that on average. We're obviously tracking the rate of demand, whether that's production for components or whether that's sales for finished products, or maybe a little bit of both when you sell spare parts and things like that. But all that data is displayed here, and I can actually change that I want to look at 6 months, and I want to look at the rate of demand per week. We can tweak that however we like. And then I'm just going to tell Unleashed, right, don't listen to me and the minimum maximum stock levels that I've put in. I want you to tell me what you think they should be based on the actual lead time and based on me wanting to have at least 20 days and maximum 35 days worth of stock. I can hit calculate on that, and Unleashed tells me, well, this is what I would do in that case. And I can choose to accept that. I can just hit submit, or I can choose to, maybe tweak that. There's obviously some pretty big differences here between what I thought and what Unleashed is telling me. So perhaps I want to forecast on an even more granular level, drill down into that product and get a better look at whether we're talking about a seasonal trend or a linear trend. And yeah, just really, really drill into the detail there behind that individual product. But by doing that, by keeping on top of these forecasting metrics and tools, which most businesses will be doing anyway, just in a slightly less intelligent way, on a regular sort of monthly or quarterly cadence, it means that reorder report is going to be a lot more reliable. It means that you're going to be able to drive the correct KPIs in the business for repurchasing and just save costs, really, because that's what it's all about. It's just driving sales via ProspectSoft and keeping the business efficient on the supply chain side with Unleashed. Finally, just one last report to throw at you here, and I'm really just picking one. I spent a while wondering which one to show you, but this is something that I had a conversation with a customer about just the other day. He told me that before they were using Unleashed, they pretty much were just talking to suppliers and asking for stock, and now they're running actual account reviews with their suppliers. And a great example of a KPI to bring up in an account review with a supplier would be your average delivery duration. So if I select that, I can see that on average, when I'm receiving late, those goods are coming 45 days. I'm just looking at month to date at the moment. So let me just switch over to last year so we get slightly more data. Yeah, so hamper time, they take the longest. I can drill down into that. I can look at the products that are driving it. And I can use all of that kind of information in an account review, not just for the delivery duration and the lead time, but also the additional costs and my average cost per unit, and just get that kind of bird's eye view, but also be able to drill right down into the detail, and keep my supply chain running more efficient and more honestly. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into what's going on the supply chain side with Unleashed. I'm going to hand back over to you now, Stuart, I think.
I'm actually going to take over, I think, Josh, but thank you for
Oh,
that.
sorry, Jess.
Really great overview from you both. No problem. Yeah, that was great, guys. Thank you both. And yeah, just before we go into next steps and the Q&A, and please do continue to submit those questions in the chat, guys. We've just got a sort of 40-second video now on a couple of Access customers using Unleash and Prospect CRM together, and they're driving that sales growth in their product businesses. So over to Helen and Dennis to tell us.
We looked at a number of different CRMs, and the difference between Prospect CRM and the others was the integration with Unleashed. That was the winner for us.
Prospect and Unleashed integrated together allows the team that are quoting for customers to see live what's available in stock and what they can deliver to the customers today.
My advice to any other business that's implementing a CRM when they have an inventory system as well would be to get a system that integrates both inventory and your CRM, and a marketing only CRM just doesn't cut it.
Great, thanks for that. And I think, yeah, that perfectly really sums up the benefits of connecting CRM and inventory together. And we've now got, you know, hundreds of customers all over the world actually using both systems integrated together with their accounts package, whatever that may be, Access Dimensions, financials, etc. So they're kind of driving that growth with all those systems connected. So I think we can now move straight into next steps. Josh, if you want to take over.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess. So the next steps, really, if you are interested at all in anything that we've looked at today, whether it's Prospect, whether it's Unleashed, or whether it's both, I'd really encourage you to scan the QR code that's on your screen at the moment. We are going to be sending an email after this to everybody that's attended with a recording and with a link to this page as well. But that page will allow you to take out a trial of either system or both, and you can even book a call with the team on there. So if you want to talk to us a little bit about the challenges that you're seeing at the moment with CRM and with inventory management, we're all ears. We'd like to hear about it and see what we can do to help.
Perfect, thanks, Josh. We'll go straight into the Q&A. Guys, if you have got any questions, do pop them in the chat now. We've still got time to take those. So let me just move into the chat box now. So firstly, we've got one. Are records kept in sync between Prospect CRM and Unleashed? For example, if I'm changing something in Unleashed, will it update in Prospect CRM and vice versa?
Yes, so I'll take that if you like, Josh. Yeah, I mean, the quick answer is yes. It's a relatively new feature actually, because it's quite complicated, as probably most people know, to synchronize records between databases. But because we're part of the same company and our development teams can work together now, we've been able to sort out the syncing of customer records and actually supplier records, all the main fields. If you change in either system, we'll sync back across to the other system automatically. So you don't end up with kind of these different silos of data, as everybody used to call it. Yes, it's all kept in sync between the two systems.
Perfect, thank you. Just a couple of questions around visibility for sales teams. So seeing what's on purchase. So I guess the sort of overall question is, you know, how do I make sure my sales team have visibility of the supply chain? Josh, I don't know if you want to take that one or Stuart.
Yeah, well, if it's for the sales team, then I mean, I did actually briefly show the purchase record against the product that we bring in from Unleashed. So, I mean, we're obviously all your purchasing is done in Unleashed, as Josh was showing you, but we do bring in those purchase orders against the product so that you can see as a salesperson not only what the current stock situation is and what my buildable quantity is based on the bill of material components, manufacturing components, but also what I've currently got on purchase order and when it's expected. So yeah, I mean, I think hopefully we're trying to share the information, you know, from Unleashed through to the sales and marketing guys.
Great, thank you. We've just got one coming from Aldrin who says, how do we integrate Prospect CRM and Unleashed? Is it a new native Unleashed integration, or do we need to use the Unleashed API?
Well, it is a native integration, but you do use the API. So kind of both of those things. So if you want to take a trial of Prospect and get it integrated, the quickest and easiest way is to do it from within your Unleashed system on the integrations menu, and choose Prospect from the integrations list, and you'll have a button there that says take a free trial that will automatically connect the systems together and fire up a 14-day free trial of Prospect CRM connected to your current Unleashed system. But yes, I mean, it's a live API connection. That is how we integrate, but it is a native integration, yes.
Okay, perfect. I think we're all we've got time for now, so I will leave it there with you guys. Thank you for the presentation.
Excellent.
And yeah, if anyone's got any further questions, do give us a shout. As Josh said, we'll send a follow-up email after the session, so there'll be ways to get in touch.
Well, thank you everyone for attending.
Okay,
And
Thanks, everybody.
thanks everyone.
Josh and Jess, and see you all
Thanks
next
everybody.
time.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.